Believe on three, believe on me. 1, 2, 3.
Believe!
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Tolly Carr, Atlanta. Thank you so much for joining us for another week of HBCU Game Day Saturday. What a week we had last week. We had the OBC down in Miami. We've already had 2 games this week. Thursday, Friday, we're going to get into that, and we're going to get you ready for all the kickoffs right here on your Saturday. Now, each week has like its own type of theme, its own vibe, right? Let's go down into the pocket. What did Deion Sanders say? Must be the money? Look, I'm not even used to holding money. I can't even hold it right, but it is a money game type of week. Much more than this. This is just a little lunch money for you ballers out there. But on that schedule today, there's a lot of FBS taking on FCS. We got a little SIAC taking on the SWAC. Whatever your matchup is, get that money. It's early in the year. That's what you got to do. All right, let's start with that SWAC schedule for today. We're going to work our way backwards. We got Alabama State at Auburn, 12 noon. Cha-ching! Fort Valley State at FAMU. All right, little coins being exchanged there maybe. Texas Southern at Baylor. Oh, yeah, bring me that. Grambling State at Southern Miss. I need that too. Northwestern State at Alcorn State. All right, Miles at Southern. Show me the halftime. We'll count the money later. Bethune-Cookman's going to be at soon-to-be Big 12 member Central Florida. Ching-ching-ching-ching. Jackson State and Tennessee State, they're going to make all that money on their own. Prairie View, A&M, Incarnate Word. Say word. All right, everybody. You can't talk money games without talking Sam Washington. North Carolina A&T, who famously had the meme, "Bring me my money," after the Aggies beat East Carolina and got the bread on top of that. Well, last night, Duke University, they may have brought them the money, but they brought them an L as well. Things didn't work out for the Aggies. They lost 45-17. Our Lute Williams was there at the game.
Any hopes the new Big South member North Carolina A&T could avoid their first 0-2 starts at the 2010 season were dashed tonight in Durham, North Carolina, as the Aggies fell to Duke 45-17. Quarterback Kingsley Ifedi started in place of Game 1 starter Jalen Fowler and led the Aggies to an early 7-0 lead as he engineered a long 86-yard drive that took 12 minutes off the clock in the first quarter and almost ate up the entire quarter. The Aggies ended the quarter up 7-0, but Duke came right back to score to tie the game at 7 and then employed some trickery, employing an onside kick that they recovered and then went in for the score to go up 14-7. The Aggies fought back and tied the score just before the half with less than a minute to play to tie the score at 14. But the quick strike Duke offense came back to score with only 3 seconds left in the half to go up into the halftime with a 21-14 lead. They came out in the second half, pinned the Aggies deep in their own territory, got a short punt, and then were able to go in on a short run to go up 28-14. The Aggies came back on another long drive to score to cut the lead to 28-17, but that was to be their last hurrah for the night. No more points on the board. The Aggies and Sam Washington kind of played the long game. Really, what they were trying to do was shorten the game. They stuck to the ground game, wanted to put long drives together to keep the Duke offense from getting the ball. But quarterback Gunnar Holmberg and running back Mateo Durant scored 5 touchdowns between them as they pulled away to the big 45-17 win. The Aggies still have a lot of questions. Who's going to play quarterback? Why didn't Jalen Fowler start this game as he did in the first game, the opening game, a loss to Furman? Those are some of the questions we'll have to answer as we talk to Sam Washington as this 2021 season continues. I'm Lute Williams. Now back to you, Tolly.
All right, we had half of our squad down in those Miami streets for one of the biggest HBCU clashes that we've seen in quite a while. There was a lot of hype surrounding FAMU, Jackson State, the Orange Blossom Classic. Now, even though you might have caught the game on television, you might have saw it there, you did not see the game like this. It is our Wally vision.
The Orange Blossom Classic is back after a 40-year hiatus, and it was a perfect storm of HBCU football energy at the Hard Rock Stadium in Miami Gardens, Florida.
Let's go! Let's go!
A FAMU Jackson State game that many consider to be the start of a new era of black college football. Coach Prime and the brothers Sanders begin their HBCU journey leading a regulator-style gang of former FBS 3- and 4-star recruits. Guys who feel like they're at Jackson State to level the playing field and bring more mainstream attention to this HBCU football thing-of-all. And for the Rattlers of FAMU, while they're new to the SWAC, they're not new to having big-time talent and winning games. And as Coach Willie Simmons and crew head into this new 12-team era of SWAC football, FAMU is looking to dominate.
Give it all you got. Give it all you got. Work hard on me. Work hard on me. 1, 2, 3. Work hard.
Gilly the King flipped these pregame vibes into a viral moment during the first quarter. And from the players on the field to the fans in the stands, this one right here had OD big game energy. And once the game got started, we realized that this new era of black college football might mean a return to that old school bust you in your mouth style of play that it's been known for since its inception. FAMU's Marquise Bell is one of the top NFL prospects in HBCU football.
Yeah, dedicated crib, man. Whole time.
And he showed up to Miami with bad intentions and was making plays all over the field. And for the Sanders brothers, Shiloh and Shador, they showed that the talent matches the hype. As Shiloh Sanders let HBCU football know, he coming with that hit stick, bruh. And for true freshman quarterback Shador Sanders, while he did have a couple of fumbles, he showed that he's an accurate passer and made what amounted to the only real offensive highlights for either team all day long. And even though Jackson State got the dub,
Put this on me right now. Put it on me right now. Let's go. We did what we had to do, baby. We like
Shador Sanders wasn't pleased with his team's execution after the game.
Big two, what it feel like? Feel good to win.
And while the 7-6 Jackson State win lacked the luster we hoped for coming into a game with this hype and magnitude, the consensus is that we saw two of the best defenses in all of HBCU football go at it in an old school defensive trench fight that might make Deacon Jones shed a tear. And for former Florida Gator James Houston, he emerged from making the game-winning sack bloody, but unbowed.
4-1, what it feel like? What it feel like, 4-1? I see you, yeah. First game in the SWAC with Jackson State. I love it. Ain't nothing like this. Ain't never been part of nothing like this, man. Right. Me and my boy Lotto did our thing today, man.
Man, we outside, bro. It's just the first. We gonna get better every week, though. Gotta get better every week.
There's a couple war wounds, but you know we going back on the bus victorious.
And after seeing the emotions of the Jackson State players after their hard-fought battle,
What it feel like to win? Man, y'all know what it is, bro. We winning now. It's a new JSU.
this new era of HBCU football might look a lot more like eras past than we ever imagined.
All right, thank you, Wally. So the OBC is done, although we're still going to talk about that more later in the show. But later tonight, it's the Southern Heritage Classic, Memphis, Tennessee. Tennessee State coming off a loss against Grambling. Jackson State with the big win over FAM. Eddie George, Deion Sanders, big names not playing each other. Their playing days are over, but they will be coaching against each other. And even though they're great friends, that's not going to stop Deion Sanders from giving a very honest assessment about Tennessee State. They played 3 quarterbacks last week, including former Grambling quarterback Jeremy Hickbottom. 3 quarterbacks. Deion Sanders says, hey, great coaching staff, but right now, advantage JSU.
He compelled, Coach George compiled a great staff. He's a great friend, unbelievable individual. What he's going to do there, he's going to provoke change each and every day he's on campus. He's a winner. That's who he is. That's who I understand how he is, how he gets down. It's going to take some time, like it's taking us time as well to comprise all those kids that you want inside the locker room and getting them on target and up under the same understanding that we're here to win and to make you better individuals so you can be productive for your personal communities. They're going to play tough, man. They're going to take on the personality of Coach George. He was tough. He was strong. He was big. He was fast. He was something to deal with on every play and well-conditioned. So I see some of these similarities on film. We have not, in its totality, studied everything about them because it's only been one game. But they fought hard. And they're going to be a tough team.
And Coach, I wanted to follow up by asking, Tennessee State this past week played with 3 different quarterbacks. From a philosophy standpoint, does it change what you're trying to do on a defensive standpoint, or do you adjust to the personnel?
We don't care who's back there. I mean, I think that's a problem when you have 3 different quarterbacks. That's pretty much telling everybody you don't trust one. That's what that really does. But having 3 different quarterbacks is not a problem for us. That's a problem for them.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, my man. You're looking good, too, by the way.
I appreciate that.
All right, no one has a better pulse of what's happening with the Jackson State program than our man Neely. He's embedded with the Tigers every week. Of course, he's in Memphis right now, probably eating some barbecue, but he took enough time away to give us the scoop on tonight's Southern Heritage Classic.
Hey, it's Neely from the pregame show in HBCU Gameday, and we are in downtown Memphis, Tennessee, here for the Southern Heritage Classic, this iconic historic matchup between the Jackson State Tigers and Tennessee State. At Jackson State, we don't refer to them as the Tigers, we just refer to them as Tennessee State. This rivalry takes on a new look and feel because of the presence of Deion, Coach Prime Sanders, and Heisman Trophy winner Eddie George representing Tennessee State. The Tigers have been here since Thursday afternoon after having a great practice down in Jackson, hit the road coming up the short drive, 3-hour drive, I-55 north to Memphis, Tennessee. Got in a great walkthrough practice on Friday morning, but now it's game day, 6 p.m. kickoff at the Liberty Bowl as Eddie George and Deion Sanders face off for the first time as head coaches of 2 historic Black college programs. It's been an exciting time here in Memphis, a lot of buzz and energy in the city. People are practicing social distancing where they can, promoting vaccination in the HBCU community. But let's get to some football. You know, Jackson State took on FAMU last week, winning 7-6. Look for an improved offense this week. We spent some time with Coach Michael Pollock, and he's talking about the bounce up between game 1 and game 2 that he's seen in his coaching experience, and he's looking to install and call some more run plays to get that run game going. He understands, albeit for 2 fumbles by QB1, a missed field goal, a couple of drop passes, that game was just a couple of plays away from being a blowout. So Jackson State is going to rely heavily on this defense again, just as it did against FAMU, to contain that Tennessee State offense and its potential, but looking for a more explosive presence, put up some more points on the offensive side of the ball. So look for that today. Look for a running game, an emphasis there. Look for some emphasis and new things on special teams, and always going to be relying on that Jackson State defense. Niles Gaddy coming off the edge. Then you have Aubrey Miller at linebacker, Keontae Hampton, who's been a fixture on this team before Coach Prime era began. Look for those guys to contribute just as they did against FAMU to anchor that defense. But look for some new names to be called on offense. There's going to be some additional receivers get involved in the game this week. You're going to see some plays from Warren Newman, I believe. Shane Hooks, you're going to see some action from him. Keith Corbin as well, are just some players to watch when you watch this game this evening. A lot of rich tradition between these two schools, these two programs. Legendary coach, Big John Merritt, who got his start and really cut his teeth at Jackson State University, then went on to be the head coach at Tennessee State University, going to the Coaches Hall of Fame from there, building a name and a power base in recruiting, and a lot of young people from Jackson, Mississippi, who would have gone to Jackson State were recruited by Tennessee State when Big John Merritt left. So there's always synergy between these two programs. The current president at Tennessee State was the dean of the School of Business at Jackson State before she left for Nashville. All kinds of students who were from this Jackson base go to Nashville and vice versa. When you're here in Memphis, even the road signs, you see 240 East for Nashville, or you see where you can turn this other way for 55 South to Jackson. So everywhere you look around, there's Jackson Miss on one side and Nashville on the other. And we meet in the middle annually for the Southern Heritage Classic. And cannot forget that this is the 20th anniversary of the attacks on 9/11. So many lives lost during that day and the subsequent wars after it. And that year, the game was postponed in honor of 9/11 and all the flights and all those things that were taking place at the time 20 years ago. So this is an historic classic here in Memphis. It is a wonderful rivalry between these two schools before Tennessee State University and Jackson State University. But now it takes on a new look because you have Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, Super Bowl champion, Hall of Famer, and on the other side of the field, Eddie George, Heisman Trophy winner. Coach Prime knows that teams take on the characteristics of their coaches, so he said in the opening presser that he expects Tennessee State to be physical, to initiate contact, and to bring it to the Jackson State Tigers because that's the style of ball that Eddie George was known to play. On the other side of the ball, our team takes on the characteristics of our head coach: tough, fast, smart, and disciplined. Coach Prime knows if we can minimize the penalties, play smart, play disciplined, play tough, and use that speed, the Tigers of Jackson State will be victorious. It's Neely from the pregame show with our partners over at HBCU Gameday, bringing you inside looks here in Memphis, Tennessee at the Southern Heritage Classic. Back to you, Tyler.
All right, much more still to come on HBCU Gameday Saturday. We always love it when you guys stop by, and we know what you want. We know what you want. It's time for a little bit of a band break, and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back to the show, everyone. Tolly Carr here, Atlanta Studios. What's up, FAMU? I know you guys were hyped last week. You made your SWAC debut, almost knocked off Deion Sanders and those Jackson State Tigers, literally coming down to the last play of the game. Now, even though the Rattlers fell short, they did learn a lot about themselves in that game. They'd been off for a long time, so give yourselves a little bit of credit here. Willie Simmons, he's going to give us all the insight right now as he goes one-on-one with Von Wilson.
Coach Simmons, you finally got game one under your belt after 600-plus days off. Just talk about your overall evaluation of the team.
Well, first off, it was very exciting to be playing again. It's been almost 2 years since we've been able to take a field for competition. And so just the atmosphere, the pageantry surrounding the game, seeing the bands march in, the cheerleaders, the fans, it was a great feeling. And it was a great football game. Two really good football teams, two phenomenal defenses, a lot of star power on the field. Obviously, the outcome wasn't what we wanted or expected, but again, in football, you win some, you lose some. So for us, we'll take the good part, which is the fact that we're playing football again, and we'll learn from the bad, things that we didn't do well, and we'll get ready to get better this coming week. But all in all, great experience for our guys, and looking forward to the next time we're able to do it again.
Coach, your defense only gave up one touchdown. Just talk about how good that was against a high-powered team like Jackson State.
Well, I've been saying it from the beginning. I think this defense has a chance to be special. A lot of great players. I love what we're doing schematically, and so I think we have a chance to have one of the most dominating defenses in FCS football, and we showed that this past Sunday. So it's just about consistency now. We've shown that we can play at a high level. Now it's about continuing that, cleaning up some things. We still have a couple of things to clean up on that side of the ball as well. But I couldn't be more impressed with what we showed defensively, holding a team like Jackson State to 7 points.
Special teams, you had both ends of the spectrum. You had two made field goals, had a field goal block, but you also had a great kickoff return with the reverse. Just talk about special teams and where you plan to go from special teams.
Well, I thought we performed well at times. The two field goals that we made, executed perfectly. The one that got blocked was poor execution across the board. So we have to clean up the details in that phase because we do have a kicker that we feel can make it from long distances out. I thought we punted the ball really well as always. The one return, we hit the ball the wrong direction. So again, it goes back to little things. So as good of a player as Chris Verdul is, he's the best punter in the country. We're depending on that ball being placed exactly where the coverage is, and on that particular one, it wasn't exactly where it needed to be. And so he'll get better at that. Obviously, that's not something he does hardly ever. So I know he's kicking himself, even though he averaged, again, 46 yards per punt. The expectation is perfection. He's the one that holds himself to that standard. Was really pleased with the kickoff return. Thought we did a really good job, and I thought we covered well. So all in all, I thought the special teams performed really well, aside from the one return, and then obviously the block field goal, which ultimately came down to costing us the game.
Well, Coach, when you think of Willie Simmons, you normally think offense, and so offense was not quite up to your expectation, as you said, and there are some things you need to clean up. Just talk about the offense in general.
Well, obviously our offense is built on execution. And we didn't execute very well in that football game, from the offensive line to the quarterback position to across the board. So I take that responsibility on me as the play caller, as the head coach. It's my job to make sure that we're coaching the details that need to be coached, that we're putting these young men in the positions to know what they're seeing. We were surprised by a few of the looks that we got, and that's not the kids' fault. That's our fault as coaches. And so we'll clean that up. We'll correct that. I still think this unit has a chance to be very, very explosive with the receivers that we have, with the talented running backs that we have, and the talented quarterback room, inexperienced, but a very talented room. And so we have the pieces in place. Now it's just a matter of honing the skills in, giving those guys the looks that they need to see on Saturday so they're not surprised by anything, and then allowing us to execute at the level that we are accustomed to here, which leads to explosive yards and points and all the things that Rattler Nation has come to expect from a Willie Simmons coach football team.
And, Coach, the obvious question, up until game day, pretty much you were unsure that there was not a clear starter at quarterback. You went with Rashawn McKay, who has been stable in the past, very stable, won the overtime game against North Carolina A&T, won the game, played the whole game against Morgan State up in Baltimore, but looked a little erratic with some low throws in the game. Cameron Sapp came in, may have had probably the less opportunity, but you saw something else. And Junior Mirotovic came in and kind of moved the offense. And I think everyone kind of saw the receivers, Xavier Smith and Chad Hunter, kind of get the ball where they needed it to be to make plays.
Yeah, obviously, the receivers are dubbed the rack boys for a reason. It's run out to catch. But to be able to do that, you need runnable balls. And Rashawn wasn't as sharp, as he normally is. He's earned the right to start. He's been in the program for a long time. He cares. He works extremely hard. He's done all the right things. Just got into the game, and for one reason or another, didn't particularly execute at the level that we expected. And I think a lot of it had to do with some instability up front. It's kind of hard to get in a rhythm when you're constantly picking yourself up off the turf. And so we have to do a better job, no matter who's at quarterback, of protecting that position. In 2019, we finished 4th in the country in sacks allowed, and really first among teams that threw the ball more than 10 times a game. And so, we've never had an issue with protecting the quarterback, and we gave up 3 sacks the other day. So starts up front. We have to do a much better job in pass protection. I thought we ran the ball well at times, have to do that more consistently, because those two things really help quarterbacks get in their groove. Being able to run the ball and then obviously being able to protect once we drop back and throw the football is what's critical. And so we'll improve at both areas, and whether it's Junior, Rashawn, who I think you'll see again this season, or even Cameron Sapp, I think we feel confident that the quarterback position will perform at a level that gives us a chance to be successful.
And Coach, finally, a little off the cue. One of the Jackson State players, who was a former SEC player, says, "I can't believe this atmosphere. I just love this. I really, really love this." He was actually bleeding when he said it, and he was just so overjoyed of the atmosphere of a SWAC game of that magnitude. Just talk about the HBCU experience and the SWAC experience and how it's just different.
Well, I thought the game was everything it was built to be. A revival of a classic that's been around for a very long time. 2 storied programs, a lot of anticipation, due to the fact that FAMU's into a new conference now and hadn't played football in over a year. And so I think it lived up to all of that. So for those guys that took the field that day, whether you're coming from Power 5 institutions, Group of 5, Division 2s or whatever, it's a different feeling, and that's what makes SWAC football what it is. Every week you have those type of atmospheres, whether you're home, away, or in a neutral site venue. It's just electric football. So excited to be back in the conference. Obviously we knew our work was cut out for us. We're going to get everybody's best shot. That's just what we expect here at FAMU. We're going to get everyone's best shot, so we have to be prepared for that. But with this group that I've been around for the last 4 years, I know we'll bounce back.
And the last question, Coach. Fort Valley State got a big win this weekend over Tuskegee. Kind of shocked a lot of people. What do you see in the Wildcats that the Rattlers are going to have to pay special attention to?
Well, they're well coached. They play extremely hard. They're opportunistic. Cause some turnovers, Tuskegee. And so, again, they'll come in confident. They just scored 30 points and shut Tuskegee out. We just won the game and lost and didn't find the end zone on offense. And so defensively, they should come in with a lot of confidence. So it's a great challenge for our offense to see if we can respond. They scored 30 points, so now it's a great challenge for our defense to see if we can, have the same type of success this week that we had in the last game. So, again, looking forward to it. It'll be a great home opener here for us. Looking forward to a great crowd here at Brad Memorial Stadium in our first game in almost 2 years here in the mecca of home stadiums here in Black College football, and I can't wait to get it on.
All right, thank you, fellas. All right, let's switch over to that MEAC schedule and take a look at what's happening today, kicking off, right now, a couple of minutes. Norfolk State, Wake Forest in Winston-Salem. Georgetown making the trip to Delaware State. That's pretty cool. 2 p.m. kickoff there. South Carolina State and what should be an angry Clemson team. 5 o'clock. Our Wally Pitt, Simone Stanley in the house. So we're going to have all the angles covered on that game. Morgan State versus Tulane. That game is actually in Birmingham, Alabama because of hurricane damage in Tulane, down in New Orleans. And that kickoff has actually been moved up to 1 o'clock. North Carolina Central at Marshall. Thundering Herd, 6:30 tonight. And Howard at Maryland. Bison versus Terps. All right, let's go now to Winston-Salem, getting ready for kickoff there with Norfolk State. Our Stephen J. Gaither right outside of Groves Stadium.
Yes, Holly, I'm here in Winston-Salem. Norfolk State is in town, not to take on the HBCU in the city, but to take on the ACC team in the city, and that is, of course, Wake Forest University. Last week, Wake Forest took on another team from Norfolk and Old Dominion, and they took them behind the woodshed. I think it was 49-10. And then Norfolk had its own FBS money game the previous week against Toledo, and they got a 40 spot put on them as well. So a big task for the MEAC second-rated team heading into the season. Back-to-back money games. That's the story of the weekend. You got 11 FCS schools playing FBS schools. But, just down the road in Durham last night, we saw Duke have to hold off of North Carolina A&T, formerly of the MEAC. So anything is possible. It's going to be an uphill battle for the Spartans. They're more than a 40-point underdog, but, that's why you play the game. So we'll see what happens on this end of town. And then later in the evening, I'll be transversing over to Salisbury, North Carolina to watch Winston-Salem State take on Catawba in their season opener. Last week they were supposed to start against UNC Pembroke, and they were unable to do so because of some Pembroke issues with COVID. They're ready for the Catawba game. They're crossing their fingers, dotting their I's and all of that stuff, trying to make sure that they're going to get a chance to play this week as well. A tough task in Catawba. So a lot of football here in the Piedmont Triad area of North Carolina. So we're going to be able to take it all in, and you can read about everything on HBCUGameday.com.
All right, I tell you who else going to have their hands full today. That's Trey Oliver, head coach, North Carolina Central in West Virginia today, taking on the Thundering Herd of Marshall. Now, America isn't giving North Carolina Central much of a chance, but did they give them much of a chance against Alcorn State either? No, they didn't, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. This is Marshall, a great team, a great quarterback. Coach Oliver says this is an opportunity for his team to simply get better.
That's a good football team. They took Navy behind the shed, but they're a very physical football team, well-coached team. Their quarterback is probably the best we'll see this year. And they have great skill players on offense, and defensively they're physical as well also. So we're going to focus on North Carolina Central and try to control what we control and just work to get better week by week. They've improved since 2020. I think it starts with the quarterback play, and we had to figure out a way to slow him down a little bit and stop the run and slow the run game down. But they are an outstanding ball club. I think they should be a top 25 team. But we have to work to get better and play one play at a time. Again, if something good happens, keep playing. If something bad happens, keep playing. We can't go in there. They make a big play and we get rattled. So just set that thermostat on 70 and let it ride.
All right, so Eagles will shoot their shot tonight in Huntington, West Virginia. Hopefully they'll hit on all the notes. Come on. That's like elementary segue, right? I was almost embarrassed to say that. Director Justin he wrote it. I had to say it. It's band break time. More of HBCU Game Day Saturday in just a few minutes. Okay, everybody, welcome back to the show. You saw Clemson in Georgia. I know you guys watched those games too. Clemson's going to be mad, right? A lot of frustration that they are going to unleash today, at least in their minds. They still have to play the game against South Carolina State. Now, both teams coming off close losses. Tigers in Georgia. We just told you about that. And some people just writing Clemson off, right? Not really our lane to talk about who's going to win the FBS championship. I'll let you guys discuss that, but it is a part of the backdrop of today's narrative. Now, let me tell you something about Buddy Pugh. He does not lack self-awareness. He knows exactly what he and the Bulldogs are walking into today, or does he?
But and maybe the jury's still out for what both of us are at this point, because they were so highly, thought of as they, went into the game this past Saturday. And I'm sure they're awfully disappointed in the fact that, that they lost their game. And so are we. So, it's a little bit of both of us trying to find, our mojo, them, theirs, and us, ours. I'll be really, really interested to see, just how we match up our offensive front with that defensive front. We think that we may have one of the better young offensive fronts coming along that we've had in a while. And to see how they react to, the down, rough and tumble inside strength of this Clemson defensive front, is really going to be, a test for us in a way that, we'll get immediate feedback on whether or not, this is something that's possible for us or not. So I'm excited to be going in there playing these guys. I'm sure they're playing at home for the first time in a while. They've lost 2 in a row now. And, we think that we've got a chance to go in there and see if we can, kind of give them a little bit of a headache for a while.
Okay, back in the SWAC. Let's go there again. Donald Hill-Ely is facing more of the same. A short drive down I-85 from Montgomery to Auburn, but might be a long afternoon for Alabama State. But upsets happen, right? Right? We could maybe see an upset. Miles College nearly upset Alabama State last weekend at their place. But look, you can't go into a game scared, right? You got to play. It's your 11 against their 11. But Coach Ely says maybe one day we won't even have to play these games.
One thing that, and after being around this HBCU football for almost 30 years, what I'm seeing is a transformation. We appreciate the PWIs giving us the opportunity to sell our programs on ESPN. But if you notice, this past week, we had a lot of HBCU football on national television. And Dr. McClendon has done a great job of now giving us a platform that we eventually won't have to start taking some of these games, and we can start selling our game on those particular platforms. So it was encouraging to me that the tide is turning where there's an interest in HBCU football, that we can create our own game on that same stage and not have to have as much risk and as much things that go into it when it comes to playing up and playing guys. I'm still aware that when I went in there to play these guys the last time, we had 9 young men that got injured and couldn't play anymore. So, I mean, it's still understanding where you're going. I mean, we're not going in scared. We're going to go in and play Auburn, and we're going to play the guys that's in the helmet and not the name that's on the helmet.
If I ain't never scared was a person, it might be Terry Sims at Bethune-Cookman. Coach Sims is like that. You know what I mean? If you ever met him, you know it. All right, so no school, ever wants to talk about, oh, God, we're so afraid about our opponent. And you have to give credit to what Bethune-Cookman is doing. Just ask UTEP, right? Last weekend, that was a close game. I texted everybody on the game day team. I was like, upset alert here. Anything could happen. Close, but no cigar. The Wildcats actually lose 38-28 to UTEP. Good loss if there is such a thing. And I guarantee you there will be no loss of confidence today against soon-to-be Big 12 member Central Florida. Good come up for them there. They are fast, but everybody in football is fast, right?
Honestly, we practice against it every day. So it's nothing new for us. I didn't know that there was another way to play football these days, except for fast. That's what everyone's doing now. And I think, if you practice against it every day, no, there's really no way to simulate, that speed at a game time. But we enjoy it.
Dylan Gabriel is one of the top quarterbacks in FBS football right now. Give us your assessment of him.
Great football player. He's a guy that not only is a great talent, but he manages the game well. And honestly, we have a group of guys that's looking forward to the challenge. I tell our guys every day, you can't be the best until you beat the best. So I think, they look forward to playing great football teams that are, full of great players and coached by really good coaches. So he's a guy that we're looking forward to playing against.
All right, still lots to go over and things to look forward to. But before we get out of here, you know what time it is? More band break, band heads. We got to show you some love, and you're tired of hearing me talk, so let's check out the music. We'll be right back. It's HBCU Game Day Saturday. Hey, welcome back, everyone. This week in the SIAC. Has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? Actually, so nice that it's become a regular thing here at HBCU Game Day. It's a new segment that you can catch every week. Literally, it's called This Week in the SIAC. You can catch it on our YouTube channel and at hbcugameday.com. Now, one of the things you'll definitely see this week, the primetime matchup from Thursday night, Benedict welcoming Edward Waters University to Columbia. And it was one hell of a game if you were a Benedict fan. I mean, they rolled right over Edward Waters, 44-3. So here are some stat facts from that game. Benedict rolled up an amazing 478 yards of total offense in Thursday night's win. Fans got a chance to see the game on ESPNU. Look, that's a big step up. Big exposure for the conference. Every week they got a little ESPN package going there. Make sure you check it out. Chennis Berry and his program looking up so far in year one. The Tigers had 3 big scoring plays from Eric. I'm your Phoenix, I'm your fire. All right, you have to be like 8,000 years old like me to get that reference. So Eric Phoenix, his full name, picked up on 3 huge touchdown strikes of 60 yards, 44 yards, and 51 yards. On the night, Phoenix completed 11 of 18 passes, and he actually ended up with a career-high 292 yards, 4 total touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. So Benedict now 2-0 on the season, and talk about being a first down machine. The Tigers averaged more than 9.5 yards per play for the game. Okay, someone the Tigers might have to reckon with down the line. Miles College on the road at Southern later today. And don't sleep on the Golden Bears. Now, they were 1 play away from potentially knocking off Alabama State last weekend. And I'm sure they'll take that same energy to the Bluff. Let's look back on last week's game at the Labor Day Classic.
Alabama State with the stadium along the highway. Very easy to find, so let's pull up to the pride of Montgomery. ASU and the Hornets welcoming Reggie Ruffin and the Golden Bears of Miles College to the Labor Day Classic. After this quick touchdown early on by Ryan Nettles for Alabama State, everyone afterward just got all defensive and stuff. Incontavious Floyd here wrangling Nettles to the ground. Miles College with the free play. What's the worst that could happen? Let's go for it. Well, hypothetically, could have been a pick 6, but we all knew it was coming back, but still fun to watch it. Rodney Eccles getting a little exercise there. Bring it on back. The Hornets did move the chains during the game. Karan Jones fighting for a little extra yardage. Ezra Gray finding the hole and breaking off a little something here. Nice downfield block from Terrence Ellis, your tight end. We see you, T. But those drives were killed by turnovers from Alabama State. Gray fumbling the ball here. This one would be recovered, but that sinks your drive. On the afternoon, 3 fumbles for ASU. Coach Ruffin thought they had that one, but you got the other ones, Coach, not that one. Second quarter here, nowhere to go for Nettles. Miles won't fool you as a passing team, only 35 yards passing on Saturday. But they will ground and pound. Dante Edwards tackling by the jersey, legs, hair, whatever you can get. He had 107 yards on the day, but the Golden Bears could not score any points in the first half. Fall is here. Full halftime shows are back. That means the Honeybees. Yes! Third quarter. Claude Newell on the quarterback keeper to the outside. That's Christian Clark, 6 foot, 345 pounds closing in on you. And they flip your lid, too. That'll make you mad, but you pop up and see Mr. Clark there and go back to the huddle. Okay, everybody, meeting at the quarterback in 3, 2, 1. Andre Ogletree in there. You got that tree part right. Ooh, that's a big front line. That Ryan Nettles, Jeremiah Hickson combination was working for Alabama State. Hickson, 8 catches, 92 yards on the day. Quarterback switch for Miles, Jalen Parker in. And again, that D-line laying the pressure on. Austin Brundage now playing the role of John Henry. Swinging that hammer in the backfield. Look, I told you this was a defensive game here. Alabama State wasn't great at rushing the ball, but 19 of 29 passing, 9 of his 17 first downs coming through the air. But again, nothing kills a drive like giving the ball to the other team. Cameron Sneed gets his hand in there, rips it away from Gray, recovers the fumble for Miles. Dante Edwards might not have the top shelf speed, but he's a bruiser. A little baby Jerome Bettis out there. He rides the bus to a big first down. Jalen Parker follows that up with some ground beef of his own. He takes off unscathed down the field. He's ultimately jackknifed by Agent Zero, Ashard Davis, but It's still a first down. Then Parker with one of the biggest plays of the game, a 16-yard on-the-money touchdown to Marcus Lodge, who was backpedaling and then had to turn his body in time to catch the ball and hold off the defender, along with dragging the foot in the end zone. Don't think he was in. Let's slow it down in game day vision. Oh, it's in there. Coach Ruffin, he might be thinking, I don't know, tied at 7, late fourth quarter? We might steal one for the SIAC. Late fourth quarter, Miles stuck deep in his own territory. Alabama State calling a timeout to save a few seconds on the clock, forcing the Golden Bears to punt. Can't run out the clock. A fair catch and a 54-yard attempt as time expires is no good. So we go to OT. A little reverse action saved for a time like this. Darius Trulio with a big first down. Parker doesn't get the score on this run, but let's try that one more again to the other side. And whoop, there it is. Parker for the score. The first lead of the game for Miles, 13-7 in overtime. Time for the routine extra point that's not so routine and gets blocked. Uh-oh, that changes things. Pressure now on the Miles defense. Alabama State nettles. Ellis is wide open, but the timing not there, which brings up a crucial third down play. Don't convert this in. Well, never mind. They convert. Hickson once again there to move those chains. That creates a 1st and goal. Houston, we have liftoff. Ja'Cory Merritt takes off from the 2-yard line. Doesn't stick the landing, but he lands in the end zone, which is all that counts. If Alabama State can nail the PAT, then it's a walk-off win. A walk it out, a walk it out, a walk it out. That's what they do. The Hornets just barely, but a win is a win, and they get it in overtime over in-state rival Miles College.
You know what? You get frustrated because you see the plays that's out there. And then when you go back and you look at it, you still take that win, and now it's easier to make those corrections. And, opposed to the outcome, if you come where you lose and now you go back in with the way that we played, I mean, it's a bunch of moving furniture and all kinds of stuff going on. So, we'll take the win and we'll make those corrections with the guys. But I think they were woken up. It wasn't anything that I needed to say to them after the game, other than to rewind in your mind what happened tonight and who you played. And we played a good football team that did a great job.
I wanted to keep this game close, and I think we did that defensively. And offense kind of turned the clock a little bit. We didn't score as much points as we wanted, but when we scored when we had to and got back in the game, and I was proud of those guys. First-time quarterbacks, we kind of shuffled some guys in there trying to get the rhythm of who's going to be established the quarterback position with Claude and Jalen. But Jalen did a good job of coming back that second half, doing a good job quarterbacking. And, we just haven't played in a while, the pandemic. I'm proud of the guys. They didn't quit. They didn't give up. And for Alabama State to play in the spring, play, 6 games this past spring, I thought our kids were up for the challenge, and they did a good job of fighting and not giving up.
All right, Coach Ruffin wasn't really upset after the loss to Alabama State. He went on to talk about one of those things that a lot of us know, but sometimes we forget when we have these D2, D1 matchups in the HBCU universe. On the FCS side, they have a whole lot more scholarships.
It's a tough conference. SIAC is a good conference, and, the SWAC is a great conference. So, I think our kids, we don't matter if it's FCS or whatever. We just want an opportunity to play and showcase our talent, showcase what we have, and our kids didn't give up. They didn't back down against a 65 scholarship opponent. They fought to the end, and I'm proud of those guys.
Willie Simmons, he's going to have more scholarships on his sideline today when FAMU takes on Fort Valley State, but the confidence will be about equal at the start of the game because FAMU still trying some things out at quarterback on their own. New starter this week, Fort Valley put that big goose egg on Tuskegee. Woo! Woo! Who saw that one coming? But maybe not that big of a surprise, right? Even in good years, Tuskegee always lays one stinker somewhere in there. So maybe Tuskegee fans, you just got one out of the way earlier this year? I don't know, trying to make you feel good here. Fort Valley definitely feeling good after pitching the shutout. And things are going to pick up, though, later today in Tallahassee.
They shut Tuskegee out, which is hard to do. And so obviously, you know, they play hard, they fly around, you know, and again, they won't be intimidated. They just held the team to 0 points, and we didn't score an offensive touchdown in our last game. So they'll come in confident, you know, but again, we have to make sure that we clean up our things and worry about us. And we do that, we think everything else will take care of itself.
Okay, here's a look at the complete SIAC schedule for today. Kentucky Wesleyan at Kentucky State, 1 o'clock. West Alabama at Tuskegee. Oh, there's going to be a big game there. Tuskegee Lane at Clark Atlanta. I'm going to be at that game. Livingstone at Savannah State. Allen University at Johnson C. Smith. Miles College at Southern. Shorter at Albany State. And Morehouse. Morehouse, come on now. West Georgia. Show them something tonight at 8 o'clock. All right, one of the staples of the HBCU football experience is, of course, the cookout. I mean, you get the charcoals on the grill. You get the smoke rolling off the gate, coming out of the pipe. It's smelling good. You might even forget that there's a football game going on. It happens every week. I mean, that's like getting lost in the barbecue sauce, like literally, right? But here's the thing this year, we're still dealing with COVID. It's still a thing. Schools have been issuing their own protocols, and it's affecting who's going to get into the games depending on where you are, state, local, municipalities. Some people need a vaccine card. Some people are just outright banning, look, if you're not a student, faculty member, you can't even come to the game. Homecoming, a lot of things are getting pared back or just canceled outright. But when it comes to the classics, the promoters often handle the rules, and so far things have been, let's say, a little more lenient at our classic games. So our crew down in Miami last week, everybody came back safe and healthy. We're glad about that. And the fans had a really good time outside the game.
HBCU game day, and we are here at the Orange Blossom Classic. Who y'all think gonna win the game today? Sound like a good conversation over here.
Hey, y'all can't add nothing to the swag. What's up, baby? Y'all can't add nothing to this family swag. Look at this. We got this orphan. We got an orphan. We got two orphans. We got two Bethune-Cookman orphans. They don't know where they played. They don't know where they played this weekend.
Who gonna win the game today?
Damn, you in the house, baby. We gonna show up. We gonna show up and show out. One time for the Rattlers.
What y'all come to see today? Hey, tell FAMU, welcome to the swag, baby.
Welcome to the swag.
Welcome to the swag, baby.
And may the best team win.
Welcome to the swag.
It's pride, baby. It's pride, baby.
Who y'all from? Who y'all from?
Down.
Who y'all pulling for?
Who you from? Who you from? I'm for the winning team.
Hey, who gonna win this game today?
Jackson State, all way. G.I. Love. G.I. Love. Jackson State, all the way. All eyes on G.
FAMU, period. FAMU, we on your... Oh, I can't care.
We got beef hamburger. We won't deal with that. Beef Angus burger. We got no pork in these here now. What it's gonna be like today?
42-1.
What you said?
We got it. I don't know the score, but we got it. We believe in Coach Brian in the house.
Who y'all got today?
JSU. All right.
They got the reels, he's chopping the reels up right there, just right. Oh, man. This is what we do down here at the Classic. Orange Blossom Classic, baby. We're going to have a great time here tonight. Oh, yeah, we looking for that win. FAMU. Let's go, y'all.
And Jackson State, look, we didn't come this far, man, to have nothing other than a victory. 2021 is going down. Everybody get your popcorn ready.
We're doing great.
What y'all came to see?
Orange Blossom Classic, baby. Let's go Rattlers. Let's go. JSU. It's over. It's over.
All right, CIAA schedule, Central State at Lincoln. Kicking off in just a bit. Chowan at Tusculum today. Saginaw Valley State at Bowie State. Virginia State at Ohio Dominican, making a trip out west a little bit. Bluefield State at Elizabeth City. Look, Valdosta State says, all right, we're going to give you a chance. HBCUs at Virginia Union today. Show them something, Union. Shaw at Davidson College. Fayetteville State at Wingate. Allen University at Smith. We told you about that a little bit ago. Winston-Salem State canceled last week. Going to play this week, hopefully, at Catawba. And St. Aug Limestone, that game was canceled because of COVID on one of the teams there. All right, some of your favorite NFL teams kick off this weekend, and some of your favorite HBCU alums made the 53-man roster. Some people are on the practice squad, hoping to work their way up. Simone Stanley keeps us up to date on everyone still out there living the dream.
Hello everyone, I'm Simone Stanley, welcoming all you guys back to another great edition of the HBCU NFL Report, where we provide you guys an update on some of your favorite Black college football stars in the pros. Guys, it's an exciting edition of the HBCU NFL Report because it's NFL time, baby. The season kicks off this Thursday evening with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going head-to-head with those Dallas Cowboys. We have a lot of great news to get into today on the HBCU NFL Report, so make sure you stay tuned and let's get right into it. Cornerback Matt McCain III, former All-MEAC defensive back from NCAT and University, has now signed to the Philadelphia Eagles active roster, okay? Don't play with him on the practice squad. He's on the active roster. He was signed off the Denver Broncos practice squad today by the Philadelphia Eagles. At the time of recording of this video, around Tuesday afternoon, he was signed by the Philadelphia Eagles from the Denver Broncos practice squad. Now, Matt McCain was originally signed as an undrafted free agent by the Denver Broncos after the 2021 NFL Draft. So when he came to the Broncos, we talked about this several times. The Broncos cornerback room was very crowded. We already knew his chances was kind of slim on making the Broncos active roster because they already had veterans in place. But, you know what I'm saying? One man's practice squad is another man's active roster. And now Matt McCain has been signed by the Eagles. You guys don't know this, but now you know I'm an Eagles fan, so I'm super excited to have that young brother in our secondary. Now, the Eagles is the perfect place for Matt McCain to blossom in the NFL. And I'm not just saying that because I'm an Eagles fan, but there's plenty of room in the Eagles secondary for Matt McCain to grow. And the Eagles have a brand new defensive coordinator, Jonathan Gannon. He did some time with the Colts. He did some time with the Vikings as a defensive backs coach. So our defensive coordinator specializes in defensive backs, and he has been accredited with changing the trajectory of a lot of cornerbacks' career. He took Xavier Rhodes from just a regular guy on the Colts to one of their most productive corners. So we saw what he can do in the past when it comes to corners. We're going to see what he can do now with Mac, and Matt is now signed to the active roster. He is right now third on the depth chart behind Darius Slay, a veteran cornerback for the Philadelphia Eagles, and behind Zach McPherson, the Eagles' fourth-round pick, a cornerback out of Texas Tech. So like I said, he made the leap from practice squad to active roster, and the Eagles, like I said, have a secondary where Matt can grow. There's plenty of room for him to come in immediately and make an impact. The Eagles already have their starters when it comes to the cornerback position. Darius Slay and Steven Nelson, assigning from the Pittsburgh Steelers, are going to be the starting outside corners, and then returning slot corner Avonte Maddox is going to hold down the slot. Zach McPherson is going to be a outside corner. He might play some time in the slot as well, coming off the bench as a second string outside corner. But outside of that, it's a whole lot of questions when it comes to the Eagles cornerback room, and Matt McCain has the answers. We can see him immediately making an impact playing in the slot for the Philadelphia Eagles. And week 1, the Philadelphia Eagles take on the Atlanta Falcons, a super pass-heavy team. And we're going to need all the cornerbacks to step up and be ready to make some big plays. And we know what Matt can do. He's a big play guy. So like I said, we can automatically, instantly see him making an impact, especially in the slot for the Eagles, because outside of Avonte Maddox, They have a lot of guys that specialize on special teams, but they don't have any real depth at the slot corner behind Avonte Maddox. And Matt McCain is a little undersized for an NFL outside corner, so I can see him starting off in the slot immediately. But then if, they see a role from him on the outside, which he played in college, he played as the outside corner, then he can definitely grow and roll out there. But like I said, they like it. I love it. Matt McCain, welcome to Philly. Now, besides that, we have a lot of other great news to get into when it comes to our young guns in the NFL. So a lot of transactions occurred after the 53-man roster dropped on August 31st. Now, when it comes to the NFL, guys, stuff changes every day, okay? That's why you guys need to stay locked into our website, HBCUGameday.com. Y'all need to stay locked in here on YouTube as well for updates, because there's 32 teams with 53-man active rosters. All of these teams have practice squads as well. Some practice squads have up to 13 players on them. That's a lot of bodies. That's a lot of moving parts, and things change pretty much every day when it comes to an NFL roster. So you gotta stay updated on some of your favorite players. Make sure you turn your notification bells on here so you can stay updated. But as of right now, we have some transaction news, and it kind of took us a while to get this video updated because things were moving so fast. Guys are here today, then there tomorrow, then in between the next day. But let's get into some more news. So starting off with Keon Smith. Keon Smith, an offensive lineman out of Fayetteville State University. He originally signed with the Atlanta Falcons after the 2020 NFL Draft. He performed in the preseason training camp with the Falcons, and then he did not make the 53-man roster. But later, he was signed by the Miami Dolphins, so now he's headed down south, even further south, to Florida, to the MIA. Danny Johnson, former Southern University Jaguar, has been signed to the Washington football team practice squad. A little peculiar because Danny Johnson was playing with, on the active roster for the Washington football team for the last couple of seasons. This season, they decided to waive him from the 53-man roster and sign him to the practice squad. So it's a little glass half empty, half full. He's still on the team, but he's not on the active roster. A lot of questions there. A lot of fans were questioning that as well. That I do not have the answer for. But Danny Johnson is still sticking around with the Washington football team, just right now on the practice. Quentin Bell, a former Prairie View A&M linebacker. We reported last time on the HBCU NFL report that he was waived from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And what did I say, guys? I said Quentin Bell will find a new home soon, and I was right. You know what I'm saying? Quentin Bell is now signed with the Atlanta Falcons practice squad at this moment. And speaking of Atlanta Falcons, Chris Rowland, who was recently waived by the Atlanta Falcons, a wide receiver out of Tennessee State University, he's still looking for a home. He's still a free agent right now. And also when it comes to free agents, we still have Trenton Cannon, former Carolina Panther, former New York Jet, former Virginia State University running back, is still looking for a home right now, but it's being reported as we speak that the Baltimore Ravens are looking at Trenton Cannon. They're looking to sign Trenton Cannon, so that might be happening soon. And the Baltimore Ravens have a super explosive offense led by Lamar Jackson, and Trenton Cannon would definitely have fun playing in that regime. So we'll see if that pans out for him with the Ravens. If not the Ravens, we definitely know another team will be signing Trenton Cannon because he has made a mark for himself as a special teams return specialist. So guys, that is your HBCU NFL report. I'm Simone Stanley. Make sure you guys are locked in here with your notification bells on. Make sure you're liking this video and leaving a comment. Let me know who you're looking out for the most. Let me know what news is the most surprising to me. The most surprising thing is Danny Johnson being on the Washington football team practice squad, when I really see him as being an active player, and he's been an active player in the past. Also, let me know which team you are rooting the hardest for this NFL season. And until I'll talk to you guys next time, bye.
All right, everyone, that's going to do it for HBCU Game Day Saturday. But before we get out of here, just wanted to recognize a bit that today is September 11th, and it's 20 years. It marks 20 years from the day that changed many lives in America and forever changed our history. I was working in local television back in North Carolina on September 11th, 2001. I was off that day. Woke up late, saw everything that was happening, and I immediately rushed into work. And it was a crazy day for everyone across the country. But the one thing I want to leave you with is the power that sports has always had as a unifier in our country, and what I remember about that week. I remember the Friday night following the attacks, the very first high school football games that resumed. They never even missed a weekend where we were. And just the environment. Look, I was in the backwoods of North Carolina at a high school football game. A place that you might see, pickup trucks and shotgun racks. And at that time, I don't know what were kids listening to. I don't know, Master P or somebody. You had all these clashing demographics. But everyone was together during September 11th, and it was because of sports. I remember professional baseball and the Yankees, President Bush throwing out the first pitch. It really brought us back together. At the A&T homecoming, I remember the entire crowd just being in sync that year. It was a hurricane had just come through. The weather had kind of cleared out. It was still kind of soggy, and it was just a different type of vibe in the stands. And that is the power of sports. And there's nothing we can do to change what happened on September 11th, 20 years ago. But in the last 20 years, we have to be honest. We haven't remained unified. And sometimes in our country, it feels like we might be even more divided now than we were pre-September 11th, 20 years ago. And HBCU sports is something that brings us all together. And we have a different enemy right now. And our enemy is COVID. And we have to come together to get COVID out of here so our sports can resume as normal, so we can have homecomings that aren't pared down, so you can go to any game that you want to. So everyone do their part. We don't always agree. I don't know how it became so partisan. But as we reflect and think back on what this day has meant in our country, and if you can remember that level of unification that we had, maybe we can get back to that and continue to move forward as one and enjoy our sports again fully. It'll be such a great day. All right, that's it for me. I just wanted to talk a little bit about that since today is September 11th. Thank you guys so much for joining us. It's HBCU Game Day Saturday. Lots of highlights coming up today. Make sure you stay with us at hbcugameday.com and we'll bring it all to you. I'm Tolly Carr for the entire crew. We'll see you guys a little later. We appreciate your company.